Hey, and welcome to the Mickey and Minutes Podcast, the short Disney show.
Quick conversations, information, and inspiration.
I'm your host, Nick Lazaga.
And I'm Andy Gootz.
Let's go! Hey, what's going on, Andrew?
Nicholas, Happy New Year and happy Season 7, my man.
Dude, we are back. Season 7, man. A new season. This is your second year with us now.
Yeah,
no, awesome.
Feels good. I feel like we're seasoned now, right? Like,
exactly.
Would you say we actually
by
know what
season
we're doing?
7, we should be pretty seasoned.
Or you should be, I guess.
I should be.
I could still play the new guy excuse.
There we go. You have that just a little bit longer, man. I don't know how much longer you can play. You did it for a year. A solid year, dude.
Solid year, man.
What was
yeah,
that?
it was
Good
fun.
19 episodes. We actually recorded 20 episodes. We'll get into that in a second. But 19 episodes.
19 total episodes?
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
Good. I just want to say, this is the start of a new season. So first of all, thank you to all returning listeners. You guys are awesome. Thanks for coming back to the show and hanging out. And a huge thank you to anybody who's finding us right now. We're Mickey and Minutes, and welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out.
We hope you enjoy yourself.
But anyway, so I mentioned that we actually recorded 20 shows and only released 19 of them. We actually recorded a Lorcana episode, the very first episode of season 6. We never released it. We were just figuring things out.
It was our very first attempt at recording an episode together.
Actually, that's not true, Andrew.
That is not true. I guess it was our first attempt doing it in this new format.
In the new format,
co-hosts.
yeah. If you've been listening for a long time, guys, Andrew was a guest, the very first and only ever guest before. In the old school Mickey and Minutes, we did a episode about the Great Movie Ride, R.I.P.
Yes.
And but anyways, so we recorded that. It was never released,
nor will it ever be.
Nor
Just
will
want
it
to clarify. I don't know if y'all don't beg us enough at some point, maybe.
Probably not. And then, all right, so halfway through season 6, Andrew, we started the summer series. Remember that?
Yes, we did.
Talked about Goofy Movie. We had Jake Drumgold from the Sippin' Mimos podcast, who is back, by the way. They just released a new episode.
Nice.
Yeah. And so we talked about music, and then we had one more episode planned for the summer series. It was games, and it was going to be, you guessed it,
Lorcana.
We never got to that because, a bunch of things happened, whatever. We ended up moving on.
More important topics came up that we needed to discuss. D23 was huge at the time.
So, and then summer ended and then we didn't do it. But, Andrew, all that to say, this is it.
It's kind of hilarious and symbolic in some way that virtually exactly 1 year later, after a year of recording episodes, we are doing Lorcana, and in a way that we are confident that y'all will actually enjoy listening to us.
Yeah, I hope you like it. We're going to be scratching the surface on Lorcana. There's a lot of great Lorcana content creators out there, podcasts, YouTube channels out there where you can really dig deep into Lorcana. We honestly are just really big fans of the game and just really want to talk about it. And honestly, it also became a thing where it's like, we need to do this Lorcana episode. We've been talking about it for so long that we got to do it.
If at the very end of this, you feel inspired to go and buy a booster pack of Lorcana or even Google Lorcana or want to play in some way, then we did our jobs.
All right. So for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about in this lore conversation, Lorcana is a Disney trading card game that came out about a year and a half ago, right, Andrew?
Yeah, just about.
So, Andrew, you were into trading card games long before I was.
Yes.
So, what exactly is a trading card game? Tell our listeners.
Yes. Well, a trading card game is virtually anything that involves playing a game off of collectible cards that you purchase independently and build together some sort of deck to play a card game against an opponent. That is a very, very rudimentary explanation of what a trading card game is. But let's go back in time a little bit. Let's talk about the origin of trading card games. And it really all goes back to, and you probably guessed it, sports cards, right? Sports cards and bubblegum. So it really all started with a company called Topps, who's still around, and they would put baseball cards with bubblegum, with bazooka bubblegums. And you would unwrap a pack, pop the bubblegum in your mouth, and look at what baseball cards you got. And the idea being that every single pack of gum had a different set of baseball cards that you didn't know what card you would get. And you could trade with your friends to collect all possible cards.
But
And
that wasn't a game, though. That was just a collection, right?
correct, exactly. But that laid the foundation for just the idea of commercially selling cards in a mystery pack where you didn't know what you were going to get. It's honestly even a form of gambling, kind of. And so then that all went down really in 1938. So let's flash forward now to the early 90s, 1993, when the very first really modern trading card game, what people argue to be the first trading card game, came out, Magic the Gathering. Nick, have you ever played Magic? Have you played Magic?
Dude, I've never played Magic. I'll be honest with you. I haven't. Lorcana was not my first trading card game, but we'll get into that in a second. But I never played Magic.
Okay, yeah. So Magic the Gathering came out, and it basically applied the trading card principle of baseball cards to fantasy cards that you could put together a deck of them and play against an opponent. And this fantasy was based off of, Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, really wizards and dwarves. And
it was all original characters to the game, right?
Exactly. All original characters to the game. And with that, there's a multiverse of Magic the Gathering cards that and all sorts of different spin-offs and different ways of playing. But the foundation is you put together cards of your own collection to build a deck and play a game against an opponent. And when you go out and buy a booster pack of cards, you do not know what cards are in that booster pack, which is
and
really
there's the gambling aspect of
and that's
it.
the
You
gambling
don't know what
aspect.
you're gonna get. Yeah.
So Magic the Gathering came out in 1993, and then since that, a bunch of different really popular games came out. Pokemon being the obvious, next.
Pokemon was 1998, right?
Pokemon was 98, and then also too Yu-Gi-Oh came out and was a rivaled Pokemon. It was very, very similar, but that is a very, very brief history of trading card games and specifically Magic the Gathering, where it all stems from. And now Disney has adopted their own version of a trading card game that is very similar to something like Magic the Gathering, which they call Lorcana.
So Andrew, like I said, Lorcana wasn't my first trading card game. It's actually really funny. Did you ever play Star Wars Young Jedi? So this was the trading card game based on Phantom Menace.
I remember it, but I never played it.
Dude, me and my brother, we had binders of these cards.
Nice.
So it was just so cool. It was, Star Wars. And I just remember not quite understanding how to play, but loving the cards, loving the way they looked, and loving flipping through my binder. Like, that was so cool. I never got into Pokemon, though.
But see, you bring up a really good point about trading card games. And it's that there's really two big elements to them, and it's why it makes them so popular, and it's made it so that they've sustained time. There are people that like to play the actual game, the strategy behind the game, the strategy behind Pokemon, the strategy behind Magic the Gathering, and then there's people who like to just simply collect the cards.
Just collect it, yeah,
exactly.
man.
The cards themselves are very collectible. Some cards are super rare. They only make a finite amount of them. Some of them only come out with a certain collector's set that they discontinue after a while. Everything that goes into making something collectible is involved with trading card games.
Very cool. I was looking up like trading card games, and there's been some like wacky IP that have been made into trading card game, Andrew.
Oh, so many.
Dude, so Austin Powers trading card game. That was a thing.
Get a holographic Dr. Evil card.
Yeah, SpongeBob, The Simpsons, Power Rangers. Power Rangers is cool though.
Multiple Star Wars.
WCW wrestling.
Yeah.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Game of Thrones. All these IP have had trading card games. So it was only a matter of time before Disney got into this game, right?
And anime, the anime world is really big. Like One Piece, the One Piece anime, they have
One
really
Piece,
popular. really popular trading card game. That's
I only know about One Piece from looking up Lorcana, and so
Yes.
many like other YouTube channels and stuff will talk about both.
Or going to a local game store only
And
to
seeing
find
it on the display.
Yep,
Yeah.
they have plenty of One Piece, but they don't have any Lorcana.
Well, I will say, back in the beginning of Lorcana, man, it was hard to find.
Yes, it
now,
was.
honestly, now it's pretty abundant. I mean, unless you're looking for a specific set or like
They
anything.
said
like
it would happen. They said
Chapter
it would
1.
happen. Yeah.
You can't find Chapter 1 or Rise of the Floodborn anymore. But anyway, so there's only a matter of time before Disney started getting into trading cards and trading card games. And actually, before Lorcana, Andrew, there was another Disney trading card game.
Like a Magic the Gathering type game where you play
It
against
was
an opponent?
not.
What was it?
It was called Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. Have you heard of this, Andrew?
You referenced this the other day, and no, actually, I have not heard of it.
So, Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom was an interactive trading card game at Walt Disney World at the Magic Kingdom.
Very cool.
It started in 2012, right around the time of New Fantasyland opening. And basically, what this was is when you enter the park, you could go to certain locations in the park, and they would give you a booster pack with several cards for free. You don't have to buy these. They'd hand you a booster pack. They would hand you a map. And in the early days of the game, they would hand you a card with like a key or a keyhole on it. And what you'd have to do is go to certain windows in the Magic Kingdom, like actual windows, and you show your card, and the window would come to life.
Very
and like
cool.
Merlin would come up, and he'd give you instructions of what to do. Then you have to battle, and you'd use your other cards. You'd show your card to the window to battle using that character. And so you'd go around the park.
I feel like this was underappreciated with that technology. That would be amazing with the tech they have right now.
Dude, it was so cool. So as the game, as time went on, you started being able to use your Magic Band. And so you'd collect cards essentially every time you go into the Magic Kingdom, only once per visit to the Magic Kingdom. You would get another booster pack and you'd collect these cards. I have a whole bunch of them, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so you'd go on these different quests. So you'd do one window and then they tell you, oh, you need to go to Frontierland to battle so-and-so. All right. So you'd go over there and, you'd have to use certain cards of certain powers to beat certain villains. It was insane, dude.
That's so cool.
So I imagine like locals who lived there probably played all the time, had these huge collections. They sold binders and stuff. Me who lives in Texas, I go, once or twice a year. I still had a fair amount.
But if you live there, man, yeah.
Dude, can you imagine? Yeah. So that game ended in 2021 to the lament of Disney trading card fans everywhere. But
something needed to fill the void.
Something needed to fill the void. Exactly, Andrew. So we got Lorcana. Yeah, which was obviously more accessible. It's something that you can do not just at the Magic Kingdom only.
It's for everybody. And for our listeners, just to give a little bit of trading card game vocabulary. So when we say a booster pack, the idea being that when you go to a game store, you buy a booster pack, which usually consists of about 12 cards, and you buy those cards, or you buy a pack of mystery cards, and those cards can be used to play the game. And then also too, with every single trading card game, they sell starter decks, which is just a deck that is ready to go, ready to play. You can buy the deck and go straight to play a game immediately. So those are two big ways that you can get into the game. Go and buy yourself a bunch of booster packs, or go buy a few starter decks. And
I recommend buying a starter deck so you can play right away. Yeah,
exactly. I would agree with Nick. Yeah.
So the other thing, Andrew, in 2015, I went to D23 Expo, and one of the things they were doing at Expo that year, where they were passing out cards. They weren't Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom cards, but they were trading cards of Disney characters. Oof. And so they had some that you would like put together if there were two characters that went together.
But still not Lorcana.
There was a Dream Finder and a Figment. I have the Figment card. I love it. But still not Lorcana. Okay. Yes. And so Lorcana came out about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So I remember, Andrew, we were talking one day, just, whatever, hanging out. And you asked me, you were like, bro, doesn't Lorcana come out soon? And I asked you, what's Lorcana? The question that changed my life, Andrew. You were like, all right. So you told me what it was. And then for my birthday that year, you got me my first starter deck.
I did. I woke up at 4:00 in the morning so that I could be one of the first in line at the local game store. So
Nerd.
I could be 100% confident that I would get whatever Lorcana memorabilia I wanted day one that it came out. And
You were
I
ready.
remember you were very skeptical, Nick, because you were like, I don't know if I'm gonna get into this. Like, I don't know.
You were describing it as a very expensive hobby, which it is.
Which it
and I was
is
like,
very
well,
expensive.
man, I don't know. Like, that sounds pricey. Like, how often do I need to buy these cards?
Don't
You're
worry
like, dude,
about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
And then we played and became just
Huge fans. Huge
fans of this game. So what's really cool about Lorcana is that it takes this idea of a trading card game with all these characters and you battle each other and all that stuff, but they use Disney characters. But the thing that Disney is most known for is story.
Yes.
Right. They're a storytelling company at its heart. And that's no different with Lorcana. They weren't just going to get a bunch of Disney characters on cards and say, go play. They had to make a story. And the story of Lorcana, Andrew, is so fun and interesting, but it's something that you don't really need to know to play. Right? You can play the game without knowing the story at all.
You don't need to know it to play it, but then once you do know it, you see it and recognize it everywhere in the game, and you can't unsee it. And that's really cool.
And it becomes so much fun just following along. And the only way to grasp the story, like Disney will release little like trailers for each set that comes out, and they'll kind of give a little hint about what's going on in the story. But the only way to really gather the story is to really pay attention to the cards.
The cards themselves, yes.
Yeah, the artwork on the cards, and I'm going to get into how these work in a second with the story, but they're Disney characters, and they're doing different things and holding different objects and in different locations that are specific to the game. And they'll have like little quotes or information on the bottom of the cards that kind of give you a little bit of backstory. And once you piece it together, there's this crazy, crazy story. So, story time.
Yes, yes. Please, Nick, tell us a story.
A long time ago, a sorcerer, only known as the Curator, created what we call the Great Illuminary in a magical realm far away called Lorcana. This place was to be a respiratory for all the stories and fairy tales we know. The Curator had the ability to use magic ink coupled with the power from story stars to summon glimmers of the characters from the famous stories. These are not the actual characters, but magical sentient copies of them. The Curator and his apprentices, which he called Illumineers, would talk to these glimmers to learn more about their stories. But one day, the Curator vanished along with all of his Illumineers. To this day, it's a mystery what happened. So the Great Illuminary took it upon itself to magically call out for new Illumineers, looking for creative and artistic people from none other than our world. Chosen for creativity and other abilities, Shazan, a poet, Venturo, a programmer, Martin, a musician, and of course, you, the player, answer the call and are transported directly to Lorcana. And the game begins. As Illumineers, we use 6 magical inks: amber, amethyst, ruby, sapphire, and steel, with special ink casters we receive when we arrive in order to summon these glimmers and help us on our search for lore. In the center of the Great Illuminary, we find a lore book. With it, we summon Hercules, the true hero, to protect us, and Mickey Mouse to welcome all others to the Great Illuminary. We also summon many other characters to help clean and repair the Illuminary, and of course, solve the mystery of what left it abandoned. We realize we also must go searching for missing lore, which are significant items from stories the Curator was saving. During this time, Basil and Detective Mickey find evidence that something really bad happened here. Seaweed and barnacles all over the place, so they assume that the evil sea witch Ursula had something to do with this. Martin finds another lore book that plays part of a song. He grabs his instrument and finishes the song, and suddenly the book opens and a flood of ink pours out. When the ink touches some of the glimmers, they change into enhanced versions of themselves known as the Floodborn. Some become more powerful heroes, like Belle becoming an archer and Cinderella becoming a knight. And some, well, they become more villainous. As ink flows out of the Great Illuminary and into the surrounding Inklands, it takes some important and powerful lore with it, including the magic trident belonging to King Triton. Some of the Illumineers and Glimmers decide to journey into the Inklands on a team led by Milo Thatch, who had, in his own story, directed an expedition to the lost city of Atlantis. During the journey, Ariel happens upon an old inkcaster, presumably used by one of the original Illumineers. The curator and his apprentices must be out here somewhere, she thought. Meanwhile, Venturo, Prince Eric, Tinkerbell, and others go after the trident. But, as they're distracted by some other lore, Ursula gets to it first. Ursula discovers a doppelganger of herself that was accidentally created by an Illumineer, and they decide to team up. They recruit other malicious glimmers like Prince Hans and the Queen of Hearts to their evil cause. But of course, Ursula double crosses her twin when she no longer needs her help, her greed overtaking her. She wants the power of ruling the realm of Lorcana to herself. Powerful glimmers of Mulan, Rhea, and Beast are in her sights, but they're able to resist her attempt to control their minds. But others, unfortunately, fall under her spell. The most powerful of these is Bruno Madrigal, fulfilling the prophecy that was uncovered by Mirabelle, saying that he would join forces with the evil Ursula. So, the Illumineers, ready for battle, arrive with Ariel, Mulan, and Mickey, thinking that they will at least have the element of surprise against the now giant Ursula, who has the power of the trident and her magic Hexwell crown. But Bruno, on her side, has a vision of this and warns Ursula, and the good guys are ambushed. After a long, hard-fought battle, we defeat the Sea Witch, destroy the crown, and take back the trident. And that's the end of the first of many tales of Lorcana. Of course, our joyful celebration of shimmering skies is cut short as pieces of the great Illuminary start to fall from the sky and Hades begins forming an evil plan. We, the new Illumineers, realize the adventure has just begun as we all board ships to sail across the Azurite Sea. Can we find the rest of the lost lore? Are the curator and his apprentices still somewhere out there in the Inklands? The only way to find out is to keep playing Lorcana.
Dang, dude. Lorcana, friends and neighbors. Thank you, Nick. Question for you. That was incredible, by the way. But question for you. So as someone like me, who I very much like playing Lorcana, I'd follow it to a very reasonable amount, more than the average person. Where do you learn about like the specifics of all of this? Because this isn't just like made public or advertised.
So there's been some awesome YouTube videos, some awesome websites that I'll put the links in our show notes on mickeyandminutes.weebly.com. I post every episode there, and I'll post some show notes with some links. So, but you find the story by reading the cards. So people have read these cards and put the story together.
Wow.
With the cards
based off of card knowledge.
Yeah. And there's little bits that Disney will put out in promotion of each set. And then like little video clips here and there. And then they've started putting out these short stories on the app. Okay. So short stories that tie into the overall story. I was thinking, Andrew, this would be a really great comic book series.
Comic book series, I mean, TV show would be easy, like an easy one, but a comic book series, that would be really cool. I mean, the artwork of every card kind of sets that up already. Yeah, and every card is a work of art in itself, right? So they're all designed by artists that are either freelance or that work for Disney or Ravensburg, and they put out these beautiful pieces. And so each card shows, a scene from this overarching story. So it's not just the characters that you love, but they're all doing things in the story. So if you don't know the story, you're just like, oh, this is a cool picture of Mickey Mouse. He looks awesome here, But if you know the story, you know what he's doing, right? So like in chapter 1, Detective Mickey, where he's looking at that like purple seaweed. It's because of Ursula.
The story, it's because of Ursula, because she caused something that made everything vanish a long time ago. And so you start to see these things and start to put them together, like the Great Mouse Detective. He finds something in one of the cards, and when he gets hit by the flood of ink, he becomes the Great Mouse Detective. right? And that's his Floodborn, and he's on this cool flying contraption. Like it's
Yeah.
so cool to piece these things together, man.
In chapter 1 too, the Duke of Weaseltown, Duke of Wesselton.
Yeah, yeah,
He's also looking at some purple seaweed. So
yeah,
so Nick,
exactly.
we talked about a very brief introduction to trading card games, the lore and the story behind Lorcana. And now, man, what are your favorite things just about Lorcana in general?
Dude, so what I love about Lorcana is seeing some of these properties that
Yeah.
I never thought would make it into anything like this, right?
Yeah.
Like you think, all right, honestly, man, you think Disney, you obviously think Frozen, right? You think Mickey
Mhm.
Mouse, you think these big popular IPs.
You
But
arguably even now think Marvel and Star Wars when you think of Disney.
absolutely,
Yeah.
which, side note, these are all only Disney
Yes.
animated properties, hence, the use of ink.
Not Marvel, not Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole the power of the game is ink, and it's because they're all animated.
Yes.
So I think that's really cool. But what I love, man, is these deep cut IP that they use, right? So I love seeing like Robin Hood. I love seeing the Sword in the Stone. Even now with some newer stuff, they're digging into some Disney afternoon, like Tailspin,
DuckTales.
Dude, yeah, exactly. That's my favorite thing about it. Even like Treasure Planet, Atlantis, these
Yes.
properties that get no love anywhere else. Lorcana is doing such a great job of bringing them into the game, and they become really important. Like I was just saying, Milo is one of the people who led the crew into the Inklands.
Yes.
Like it's crazy how they're using these great characters, and then obviously the classic ones too. So Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and Captain Hook, like
They did
just
there's been Wreck-It Ralph cards, which I've really liked. I love Wreck-It Ralph. There's
yeah.
Robin Hood, of course, the Animal Fox Robin Hood has a bunch of awesome cards with
Dude,
really great
yes.
artwork. Just Robin Hood itself has like 10 different versions of it. Love Robin Hood, as y'all know by now. So Nick, I guess what are some IPs that you want to see that you haven't seen just yet?
Who I want to see that I haven't seen yet, man.
There's a clear answer, Nick.
There's a clear
There's a
answer.
clear answer to this, Nick.
Tell me, Andrew, what's the clear answer?
I want a power line card, man.
Okay, yeah,
I want a
yes,
Goofy movie
duh.
card. I
Yep.
want a Goofy Movie Max storyborn card. I want a power line storyborn card, and then I want a power line like wizard power line floodborn
Oh my
card.
gosh,
Some
could you
awesome
imagine?
enhanced power
So then
line.
so you also have song cards, right? Imagine like playing Eye to Eye as your song card, like
I want a Bobby. I want a leaning tower of Chiza item card.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Goofy's fishing pole, like
Yes, the perfect cast.
the perfect cast, as a an action card.
Yes, thank
Dude,
you.
yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would absolutely love that. Gosh, we did a great Goofy movie episode. In my opinion, it was
Yes, we
great.
did.
So you go check that out if you want to hear us talk more about how much we love Goofy movie characters. The sky's the limit for where this game could go. And even IP that they've already used, they can keep using and keep enhancing. And dude, they pull so many like deep cut characters like
Yeah.
from these things. Like
Tiana's dad. Like, so, I mean, no offense to Tiana's dad, but like, I don't know if you're worthy of your own card, bro. Even
Yeah.
before like Pocahontas, he got a card. Is there even a Pocahontas card yet?
No, I think Pocahontas is coming with the next set.
Exactly.
I've heard.
How did Tiana's dad get a card before Pocahontas?
So yeah, like almost anything you can think of is either already there or coming soon.
I do want to bring up one more thing too before we run out of time. Listeners, there is a concept within Lorcana, as there is a concept amongst many trading card games, of when you get a booster pack in the pack, there are certain cards where the company makes way more of them, and then there's certain cards, of course, that they make very few of.
Rarities.
Rarities, right? Some cards are very rare. That increases the value of them. Usually, rare cards are more powerful within the actual gameplay of whatever trading card game you're doing. In Lorcana's case, there are certain versions of cards called enchanted versions, and they are beautiful. They are fully holographic, and the artwork to them is enhanced, even more enhanced than the already enhanced version that they're based off of.
We have both been lucky enough to draw at least a couple of them, man.
Yes, I have
Do you have them with you?
I do. I have them with. I literally have
Dude,
them.
so do
with
I.
me.
Mine are right here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. All right. So my favorite one though, I will say, I did not pull organically. I purchased it, but it is this
Man,
gorgeous Robin Hood.
that's great. Yeah, you purchased that one. So that's the thing, though. So like, as a collector, you could go out and you can buy individual cards from people who are willing to sell them. It's part of the trading aspect of the game,
And then two, again, the collecting part of it, right? If you just want to complete your collection and then there's one card that you can just buy to fully complete your collection, people will do that. So Nick, how many have you organically pulled yourself with just a booster pack?
I've organically pulled 2 enchanted cards. That's all I have. So my very first enchanted card was this awesome Mickey Artful Rogue.
Yes.
Right? I don't know if you can see that.
From the first chapter.
From the first chapter. I got this in maybe like my 3rd or 4th booster pack ever. So I'm really happy with that. And from Shimmering Skies, Andrew, I pulled Donald Duck Pie Slinger.
Yes, another great card.
Amazing, very cool. I'm stoked to have like both my enchanted cards be from the Fab Five. Like that's really cool.
Is that what they're calling the first 5 releases? The Fab Five?
Oh no, the Fab Five are the 5 Disney characters, right? So Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, Pluto.
Got it.
Those are the Fab Five. Yeah, yeah. Dude, have you seen the way they've changed the enchanted cards for Azurite Sea?
No, but they do change them a little bit every release, and they do get more fun.
These are like they look like old maps, so they're like not fully colored, and they're kind of like that beige color.
Neat.
They look rad, dude.
That's so
I don't
cool.
have any of those, but I really want one.
So I did purchase Robin Hood, but I have organically pulled 3. So I organically pulled Namari and Lady Tremaine from Rise of the Floodborn. Those were some of the best days of my life. And I also pulled a Prince Naveen. This is a pretty awesome. That's rad. Yeah, storyboard. Yeah. Really happy with this one from Shivering Skies.
Nothing matches, honestly, the feeling of pulling an enchanted card.
Oh
dude.
My god!
It's just the most like intense, like just burst of excitement.
And then there's the gambler's fallacy, right? Where Nick and I would go through phases of just buying boosters on boosters on boosters week by week, thinking like I'm due for an enchanted. The odds say that I should pull an enchanted by now.
Yep. That's kind of where I have 2. I mean, all right, so we're on Azurite Sea. The last one I pulled was from Shimmering Skies, which was the previous set to this one. So maybe I'm not as due as I think. But like, so there's different things you could buy with Lorcana. There's like, we're talking about booster boxes, which are boxes with just dozens of
24
cards, right?
24 booster packs.
Yep. And there's troves. Troves come with booster packs and other fun stuff. So like lore counters and dice and, dividers and stuff. So I've bought a lot more like of those kind of things. I bought like gift sets and troves, and you've bought just booster and booster
just
and booster.
Cards.
Yeah. So, I like the fun accessories and stuff that enhance your gameplay. The play mats, the lure counters and the dice.
There's some really cool official play mats. Yeah. My wife and I we purchased some homemade Etsy mats, which are really cool too.
Yeah, man.
And again, so also Nick really enjoys it, and I enjoy the gameplay too. But I love the collecting. Like the collecting is what I have the most fun with the game is so trying to get 4, like a full play set, 4 of every card with every release. Really, again, the legendary cards, the enchanted cards, the rare cards, just knowing that I have them, it's a fun from the collector in me.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of like, I love the collecting, and I have just tons of cards, but I like having a bunch of decks ready to go.
Yeah, you do a great job of that too.
Thank you. Yeah. I have like 15 decks that are just in boxes ready to play. So what my wife and I have been doing, and Andrew, next game night, we're going to do this. We play a game called Lorcana Roulette.
Just choose the box. Just choose the deck.
So like one of us will stand here. We'll give it a number. We'll say, all right, pick a number from 1 to 15. And you'll just pick it. And whatever you get. And that's what you play with.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Are you down for that?
Dude, yeah. So what we always buy the starter decks, and then we'll mod them. We'll modify them. We'll take out cards and add them. So they're all based on starter decks, and they're just modded. And so it's so fun to play. Boosted. Exactly. Yeah. And so now I'm starting to get into the world of like creating my own decks from scratch, which is it's kind of difficult, man.
It's hard, but
like there's websites to help you, but if you really are trying to do it like completely on your own, it's a
difficult,
daunting task.
And it's a lot of trial and error. But what's really fun about trading card games and Lorcana with IP is that you could create decks that are just, I'm going to create a deck that's only princesses. I'm going to create a deck that's only Robin Hood characters.
Pirates. I have a Robin Hood deck. I have a Robin Hood deck.
Yeah, dude.
That's my favorite deck to play.
Can I tell a Lorcana story that I like?
Please.
Yeah. So when I was on the Disney cruise, as y'all know if you've been listening, that I just got off of a few weeks ago, I was with my father-in-law. The two of us were trying to find one of the bars to go find a drink, and right outside the Irish pub on the Disney Magic, there were some people there, and they were standing there, and they were like, "Hey, you guys into Lorcana?" And I freaked out. I was like, yes.
Did they like open like a trench coat with like cards in
it? You want to buy some Lorcana? They're like, hey, well, like, are you down to play? I'm like, of course I'm down to play. I don't have a deck. Like, oh, we brought decks for you. I was so excited. But then I realized if I did play, I would abandon my father-in-law. And,
can't ditch your father-in-law, man.
You can't ditch your father-in-law, Nick. So
you made the right call.
No matter how much someone organically in the wild asked me if I wanted to play Lorcana, and it was a dream come true.
I would say, how much in the wild would you consider a Disney cruise, though?
I mean,
like you're still in the bubble of like nerds, you know? So
there's Disney nerds, and then there's Disney Lorcana nerds. Still,
yeah,
man,
that's true.
For someone just to say, hey, are you into Lorcana blindly?
Yeah.
Apparently on the boat there was like a WhatsApp group of like Lorcana players that were trying to assemble in the wild.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, dude. And so Lorcana, since in the last year and a half, has just exploded in popularity, and there's like official tournaments, and most recently they had one at Disneyland.
Yeah,
held in the Disneyland Hotel. Yeah,
appropriately.
I would love to play in a tournament one day. I just feel like I need to get really good.
No, man,
nowhere near good enough.
I think the next move for us and for our listeners too, it would be really fun to film some of it. You and I just go to a easy local game store tournament and just see what happens. And just
get our butts kicked.
But just see what happens, man. The worst thing that happens is we sign up and lose, but we can document it and get better.
I would like that. Guys, would you like, so we have the YouTube channel. We put up our episodes on there, audio only, typically. Would you guys like more like of us? Would you like to see a video of us playing Lorcana? Let us know in the comments. And also let us know, do you play Lorcana? Do you collect Lorcana? We want to talk Lorcana with you.
Do you have any enchanted cards you would like to brag about? Do you have an enchanted Elsa from Chapter 1?
Can I have it?
Can we have it?
Can we have it? Yes, please let us know. Leave us
we
comments.
Would share it. I would have to like drop it off at your house every Sunday.
Shared custody.
Custody of the Elsa.
You don't love the Elsa like I do. Oh, this is so fun. I'm so glad we got to do this episode, Andrew. This was
Season 7,
fun.
Man. Season 7.
Long time coming.
2025 is going to be a fun year for us.
Dude, yeah, we have so much planned for you guys. We have a lot more music planned for Hi Dad Soup.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of great topics for episodes. We're going to talk about things that are happening in the news, also things that we just want to talk about, things that make us laugh. And guys, go back to season 6. All those episodes are, relatively timely. You can listen to them and just have some fun with them even now. And we would love if you go back and listen to some of those episodes, especially if you're new here. And you can find those episodes on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on mickeyandminutes.weebly.com. They are all there. And also there, you can find classic Mickey and Minutes episodes from the vault. The episodes that I did before Andrew joined. So there's 5 seasons worth of that, and just good stuff, man.
Great stuff. Happy New Year to everybody. We are so excited for 2025, and we will catch you next time.
Bye. Thanks again for listening to the Mickey and Minutes podcast. If you liked it, subscribe and leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Follow us at Mickey and Minutes on Instagram, and check out mickeyandminutes.weebly.com for more content.